Welcome to this week's Ohio Tech Report. We are back with some more exciting news across the Buckeye State in technology and innovation. We have to thank our presenting sponsor, Apprenti, for making these possible. But before we do, I want to introduce Daniel Kessler, who is this week's guest co-host. Dan, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. First of all, glad to be on the show. Big fan. Appreciate kind of everything you're doing for us and for the community. So keep it going, man. Daniel Kessler. I'm part of a company called Capgemini Invent. You've probably heard of Capgemini Group, the big technology firm. The Invent business unit is focused on strategy and innovation, and we really pride ourselves in focusing on that solely. So we've made a number of big moves over the last few years, including kind of formalizing Invent as an organization. And we have some really compelling propositions. And I work a lot in the insurance space, so specifically in insurance, and looking forward to sharing a little bit more about that maybe at the end of this session.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure being in the insurance innovation space, it's an exciting time to be in Ohio, to be in Columbus, where you are and doing work. But Daniel, thanks for joining. And before we dive into our three stories this week, we do have to thank our presenting sponsor, which is Apprenti. They're a 501c3 nonprofit that delivers registered apprenticeship programs to bridge the tech talent and diversity gaps. By adapting the time-tested model of apprenticeship, Apprenti helps employers meet evolving workforce needs and trains future tech workers with an emphasis on underrepresented groups, including women, people of color, veterans, and people with disabilities. Apprenti's programs are industry recognized and federally approved for employers with tech talent needs across the United States. So again, we want to thank Apprenti for making conversations like this and telling stories like Capgemini and the stories we're about to discuss possible. And so, Daniel, as we dive in, story number one is actually something that we've talked about before, but a new round is open, and we think it's really important to share this because we just talked about the Apprenti, kind of that tech talent needs and workforce is a huge thing in Ohio, huge thing in tech everywhere. And so right now, the May Tech Cred application round is now open. For those who aren't familiar, Tech Cred is a program out of the state of Ohio, which helps Ohioans learn new skills and helps employers build a stronger workforce with the skills needed in this is important, tech-fused economy. And so a lot of these can be completed online. Ohio businesses are eligible up to $30,000 every round. That's up to $180,000 a year. This round is now open through the end of the month, and anyone can go to techcred.ohio.gov to learn more. Again, this is TechCred, a big thing. And Daniel, just kind of want to toss it to you from the talent perspective, because you're seeing it every day in the companies you work with. We have to have it, and I think that's one of the big things, again, everywhere, but especially Ohio, making sure that we have the employers or the employees and the talent they need in order to keep growing and innovating.
Yeah, and I think, first of all, that's a great initiative and great company. That's actually the first time I'm hearing about the mission. I think, broadly speaking, the nature of work and the worker is evolving and changing rapidly. I mean, you could look at it and say that's a symptom or an outcome of COVID. I think, like a lot of other things, COVID isn't kind of what drove that. I think COVID might have just accelerated it. So, I work with a lot of companies who are kind of changing the way they think about talent and engage the workforce. In other words, let's face it, kind of a tier one MBA doesn't carry quite as much weight as it used to. So where else can we go to get key skills, especially technical skills that are in high demand? I mean, we're doing that as an organization at Capgemini. I just got off a call this morning talking about how we're going to kind of recalibrate our strategy and talent approach because of things like this. And it's a hot topic for all the organizations I work with, especially in insurance. Technology skills in insurance, especially engineering ones, are hard to come by. So kudos to Ohio and to that company for creating a initiative that clearly a lot of people can champion and wrap their arms around.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredibly important. And so we're going to now pivot over to stories, actually kind of 2 and 3. We'll kind of loop them together because they're a bit related. But we've been talking about talent, but another part of the equation in order to building technology and doing innovation is money, the capital behind it. And so these two stories actually come out of Akron. And so the first one is a software startup called TonDone. They raised a $1.5 million seed funding round. And what they're going to do is it's going to support the development of its platform and further scale its distribution across more commercial facilities. And so what it is it's a software program that works as an operating system for facility services and their companies to manage their work. And so I love this quote from their co-founder, Matt Crowley, who we know. They'll kind of say, so who are they? Well, they're the people who, when you have an office space or a Starbucks or a grocery store, these are the people maintaining those spaces, is what he said. And I think that's so cool to kind of, we hear about technology and there's always like these big questions of like, what is it? Blockchain, artificial intelligence. But I love when founders and executives really kind of simplify it for folks. And then real quick, Daniel, is story number 3, another one out of Akron, more capital, but this is from the venture side, or I should say the venture fund side, is that Akron's Interstate Fusion Ventures, they're eyeing a $40 million fund too, and they were formerly Akron Fusion Ventures, so they're also rebranding. And this Ohio-based firm hopes to use the vehicle to back 40 to 50 portfolio companies, and the fund will target more companies in Silicon Valley and New York, but really focusing on that connection between the two in Northeastern Ohio specifically. So really cool to see this.
Yeah, talent and money. Those are the two themes. I think those are kind of the ingredients, or some key ingredients for a fruitful future. I'm glad to kind of see the continued momentum there within Ohio. I don't know. I taunt the Ohio, the Columbus, and the Ohio flag all the time for those two things. I think we're doing a lot of cool things when it comes to talent and skill, and then also the amount of capital that we see coming into our state continues in the right kind of trajectory. And I don't know. I think we're doing all the right things to position us to be a really kind of competitive ecosystem for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is talent and money, as you said, I think perfectly to sum it up. And those are the two keys. And luckily, I think for a really, really, really long time, I mean, we've always had the people, and there's always been incredible people doing incredible things here. But it's kind of been that money side that has somewhat been the challenge and issue. And past few years, we've seen it shift a little bit. There's still room to go, and there's a lot of good people trying to work on that, I know. But when we combine those two, especially since we have the tough one figured out, and that's the people, so just making sure that we have the amount of folks and getting more that don't come from traditional backgrounds or haven't had, kind of that traditional education path as well. Getting more people into tech is awesome. And so that wraps up our 3 stories for this week. But Daniel, as we have about, let's say, 30 to 45 seconds left, tell us a little bit more, something maybe you're seeing, something you're working on, but what can people follow you for?
Yeah, so as maybe quickly as possible, one of the things I'm focusing on at Invent is IoT for insurance. Invent has a unique kind of model in the marketplace, especially in professional services. We've got kind of tier 1 strategy and innovation capabilities, and we've made a number of acquisitions over the past few years, like Frog and Fahrenheit 212. And then on the other end, we've got hardcore engineering, world-class teams like Synapse and Cambridge Consultants, who are now part of Invent. So you bring all that together, you hire folks like me and folks on the team. And I think as it relates to kind of IoT, especially for insurance and how we can fundamentally change the insurance model, Invent is like I said, a compelling proposition and an offering that I don't think exists kind of in our industry. So if you want to learn more, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, for sure. And Daniel, we'll tag you. We'll tag Invent so people can check you out. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing more from both from the company soon. But thanks so much for joining. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great Friday, everyone, and we'll talk to you all next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.